Check this out. Almost every city, every community has its own urban legends with stories that range from haunted schoolhouses to special people. Seemingly every place has stories of people, athletes, who accomplished, they did incredible things. There are urban myths that range from the high school running back who got 500 yards in the game against a rival school, and he did that while he had a broken arm. or this one, the ex-boxer who knocked out 10 guys in a bar fight. And then he added on to it because, you see, the next night, he was jumped by those guys' friends. And he beat the schnoogies out of all of them and even sent 6 more to the hospital. You get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. And you're probably thinking of a couple of those myths from your own neighborhood. Well, would you be surprised if you found out that at least one of those urban myths had a strong foundation of truth? You see, if you were in the martial arts in New York City in the 1960s or 70s, you couldn't help but hear the name Moses Powell. A big man, powerful, fast and deadly. We heard so many things about Professor Powell. like this one. Like, after the Green Hornet TV show got canceled back in the late 60s, there was a rumor that was spread around that Bruce Lee was jumped by like 5 black belts, and he had to leave the country or he'd go to jail. I'm to think of it, we were really naive. But then again, we were like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So, you know, and we probably got what we thought was a reliable source from whoever told us, you know, this stuff, you know, back in the schoolyard or the playground. But anyway, we then heard from this reliable source that it was Professor Powell that was jumped and had to leave the country because, you know, he really, really hurt those guys. You know, even when I was in college, I went to Syracuse University, and I ran across some people who claimed they trained with Professor Powell, and they told me about his one finger rollout, as well as some other things which just made the legend of Professor Powell that much bigger and grander. You know, other than hearing people describe him, I actually had never seen Professor Powell. I had no idea what he looked like until that movie, that documentary came out with him, some other martial artists from New York City, including Chuck Norris, doing some kind of exhibition or demonstration, and they were all interviewed. That's where I saw him doing that famous one finger roll, and I had to say that it did make an impression on me. It wasn't until the mid or late 1980s when I was actually introduced to him by Soke Papasan Kanti, Soke of the Kuroshi Do system. See, Professor Powell was going to work with Papasan students at their dojo on Ashburn Avenue in Yonkers. And Papasan had asked me to write an article on Professor Powell for a local magazine, and I agreed. I got there early and had a chance to watch the professor with the students. Okay. It's one thing when you see something on television or in the movies. It's totally different when you see it right there in front of you with your own eyes. Let me tell you, Professor Powell lived up to the hype, as they say. He was big, Oh, he was very dynamic. He was very fast and obviously deadly. Professor Powell would do that one finger rollout and beat on you and beat the schnoogies out of you before you could really blink. Professor Powell and I talked a lot that day. I did the article and I handed it over to Papa San. A few years later, I had the opportunity to actually train with him. The man was so filled with information and practical knowledge that I actually felt like I was in some kind of college graduate level PhD course on martial arts. With his energy, his personality, and his teaching style, it was very, very easy to see how and why this man became a legend. Dr. Moses Powell, a warrior of bronze and fire.